Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Kevin Creatives. Check out my custom real grade new Gundam. And I am super excited to go over this one. What a great time it was to build this, and look how amazing it came out. This took me about 6 months of work and it really shows. I remember being crazy hyped when they announced this. The real grade new Gundam. I mean, real grade was already doing real well at the time, and then just to make a new Gundam out of these amazing kits, I know for a fact I was excited, and I know for a fact all of you were too. So don't even begin to try and act like you don't think this is the coolest thing ever. I know, I saw the forums, I was there. I think I just bought this off a Big Bad Toy Store, but I got the expanded set with the added Amuro Ray logo base. Very cool there. It came with this stand and the arms. And then I bought Bandai add-on set that came with the additional fin funnels as well as the flame effect parts. Unfortunately, I don't know who decided on all this. I don't know how this came about, but for some reason, the flame effect parts, the booster effect parts that go into the back of the funnels to make it seem like they're flying around, doesn't attach to this stand. I don't know why. Who messed up on that? Who? Give me their head. Bring me the head of the decider on the person who decided that. I mean, come on. It's a very small oversight, but come on. I worked so hard on those thrusters and now I can't show them off. Come on. But at the end of the day, I figured this was the way to go. I wanted to use this stand. I mean, look how great it came out. So I ended up basically just candy coating it. So I started by going over it with silver paint just to give it a nice bright sheen, and then went over it with several layers of clear red. So I was a little concerned at first when I put it on the clear red, because the first couple layers, it wasn't really showing vibrancy. It was pretty much still looking silver, but with just like a tint of red over it. So I was really nervous. I just kept going over and over it. I was like, no, I want you to be red. But once everything was dried and said and done, now it's popping, now it's red. So when I decided to do this kit, this was another one where I was like, all right, this is a big deal kit. This isn't just any kit that I want to just to do. This is the real grade new Gundam. This is awesome. I want this to look awesome. I want to go all out. So I just thought of everything I could do. I mean, I had been thinking about what I could do with this kit since before it even came out. So there's some ideas that as soon as I saw the kit, I was like, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. So one of the big things I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that the insides of the funnels had that gunmetal paint on them. I like how they differentiated some of the detailing on the inside of it. I figured, all right, let's utilize that. Let's make it pop. And boy, oh boy, did I. We got that navy blue on the outer rim, and then the inner part I made kind of like the inner frame color, as if the fin funnels have their own inner frame. So I really like that with the white on top, the yellow in the back, and then we got the decals. I added some gold accents. It really comes across nicely. These fin funnels I couldn't be happier with. I painted it in the gunmetal first. So the first things first, gunmetal. Then I messed off the parts that I wanted to stay in that gunmetal, painted it up in that blue, and then I flat coated that blue part, removed the masking tape, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. I could have taken it a step further and done each of those tiny little notches and circles in a silver bit, which I really considered at first, but then I thought, A, that's gonna take forever and be a pain in the ass, and B, it's gonna be a bit much. There is already gonna be the gunmetal, the navy blue, the yellow, the white, the gold accents, the silver accents, the decals. So I was like, you know what? Let's not go too crazy. We can add stuff, but let's keep things in perspective. So with all real grades, I like to add in 2 tones of white. I feel like they're kind of designed that way. It seems like Bandai gives you the parts in separate white colors. So I wanted to do the same thing here, and I went with a little bit of a darker on the gray side for the alternate white, just because I wanted to make sure that you could tell that there were 2 shades of white. I didn't want it to be as subtle as I did with the real grade Strike Gundam. I wanted to make sure it kind of popped this time. I added just a teensy bit more of gray, and it shows, it works, and I'm very happy with it. So in terms of some of the detailings, I wanted to make sure that they popped out, and because this kit is pretty much just white with blue and yellow accents, I decided to go with gold for a lot of the accenting, just because I figured off of that orangey yellow and navy blue, the gold would have looked really nice. It would have complemented really well with them, and I was right. The silver does a good job too, but I really think this gold makes a difference. Having a bit of the gold and a bit of the silver just sprinkled in here and there, that makes a big difference than just having it one or the other. So one aesthetic that I love when it comes to mecha models is these giant round bolt looking things that they have in the sides of the elbows and the sides of the knees. I don't know what those are, if those are bolts or whatever, but they look so cool, and I love double layering up on that. So what I mean by that is I started out by making them in their standard gunmetal color. Then on that internal circle, I went ahead and masked it off and did that on an enamel silver. I will say, moving forward, I will not be using enamel. I'm going to just mask it off and use lacquer. If I touch those at all, the oil from my skin interacts with the oil from the enamel and messes it up, and it's very unfortunate. have to be extremely careful with how I handle this kit because there are some spots where I did enamel painting where, like I said, if I touch it, the oil from my skin will ruin it. Especially on the back of the knee, you can see where that happened, and it's very unfortunate considering how much effort I put into this kit. The back of the shield, I didn't go too crazy on. So the back of the shield is its own separate inner frame part, so I just did that in gunmetal. I was considering going crazy. You see a lot of customs of this where it's just 5 different layers of metal. There's silver, there's copper, there's gold, there's gunmetal, there's everything. And I was considering doing that as well, but I was like, you know what? This could stay as long as it already is. This kit took me about 6 months all said and done. This was about 6 months, maybe longer. I didn't want to push it any farther. I figured you're never going to really see the inside of the shield. It's already in that nice gunmetal color. Let's just call it a day on that. And I'm just going to say that's good enough. I'm a little surprised with the side skirts. So they have these yellow thruster, vernier, I don't know what those are, vent things. And typically on those, they would be yellow and then have another internal part that would be black or part of the inner frame. And they didn't do that on this. They just made them yellow, and I guess they just expected you to panel line it or something. I don't know. I didn't think that was good enough, so I masked it off and painted them black. I think that makes it look a lot better. I'm just kind of curious. I don't know why they decided on that. This is a real grade. This is the new Gundam. This is a big deal. You think they would have went the extra mile and made that another part, but oh well, no big deal. I took care of it myself. It looks fine. One little disappointment I will say is the metallic green. So I didn't want to go with a straight green. I wanted this to be a turquoise bluish green. Unfortunately, in doing that, it kind of darkened it a bit. So it's not so much a green. It's just like a dark bluish green. And the blue really darkened it up. So you can't really see it when it's sucked into these parts. When it's like recessed into these parts, you can't really see the brightness as well. So no big deal at the end of the day, but just something to keep in mind for the future. Kind of wish it was a little bit brighter. One thing I love about the new Gundam is all of the weapons, the bazooka, the shield, the fin funnels, and the rifle, they all have inner frame metallic parts mixed in with outer frame parts. So it really blends well with the kit. You wouldn't take this rifle and put it with a Hyakushiki. It's not going to fit. This is the new Gundam's rifle. It's perfectly synchronized with it in the color scheme and everything. So I love that about all the weapons, and I really wanted to emphasize that as I did the paints. I wanted to add in a couple extra metal details just to really give it that pop of how many layers there is to this. It's not just a simple 2-piece rifle squished together. There's layers, there's different parts, there's different colors. It's armor on top of a skeleton. Now, one thing I really wanted to make sure I got right was the red. On the Mark II Master Grade, I think the red looks okay, but I think it doesn't match quite as well with the rest of this ensemble. So for the new Gundam, I really took that into consideration when I was deciding on which color reds to use, and I think I made a much needed improvement. This red fits in perfectly. I was really concerned that the red was going to stand out in terms of all the other colors because there isn't that much, but no, it blends in well. I almost forget it's there just because it just fits with the kit so well. I forget that this kit isn't just yellow, blue, white. It's also got red in there, so that's nice. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's these water slide decals. They ain't it. I mean, don't get me wrong. The ones that I use look amazing. The ones that came with the kit, trash. They were terrible. I kept ripping. I couldn't get them off the paper without them falling apart. Thankfully, years ago when I bought this kit, I actually bought a third-party water slide decal set off of eBay just because I knew I wanted to do water slide decals, and I didn't actually know that this came with them. But thankfully I did because I didn't end up using them anyway because they sucked. But like I said, the decals I did use came out amazing. They look so good. You cannot see any rims at all. They are seamless. They look like they're part of the kit. People come over and I mess with them and I show them my kits and I say, yeah, look how well I painted on these little designs. And they're like, oh my God, you painted that too? And I'm like, okay, no, I can't take credit for that. I didn't do that. But damn, don't they look great? I love the little Amuro Ray on the shoulder I put up there. The unicorn Amuro Ray logo on the shield. That one was a big one. I knew I wanted to get that one right. As well as the La Nobel design on the front skirt and the back skirt. I did try to get a little fancy and add on another design on the beam saber over the shoulder. Unfortunately, that decal did not come out so great. So I put it on fine. The problem is the decal itself is so small. It's supposed to be this really cool, intricate design like a family crest, and it looks great when you see it on a computer. But because they scaled it down to this teeny tiny little 1/144 scale sticker, it just kind of looks like a blob. If the decal looked how it's supposed to look at a normal scale, it would look awesome. So I did try applying this one decal onto the beam saber over the shoulder. It's supposed to be a really intricate design, so unfortunately when you scale it down this small, it just looks like a blob. Oh well, I know what it's supposed to look like. Maybe you guys do too. It just kind of looks like a Rorschach blob, but whatever. Still looks cool. And I definitely didn't want to go too crazy with the decals, especially on a real grade. I definitely make sure to take that into consideration. I really pay attention to the decals whenever I'm working with a real grade, just because I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to just start slapping 5 or 6 different caution markings on it. I'm typically a 1, 2, maybe 3 decals per part type of guy, but I didn't want to go crazy, especially on a real grade where we're going to have all these different segments, all these different layers of colors, all of these different little metallic bits showing, all this inner frame. I didn't want to get crazy because it's really easy to go overboard on a kit like this, and I really had to take that into consideration when I was doing this. So at the end of the day, I really couldn't be happier with how everything came out, mistakes and all. I really think that this is just a knockout, just knocked it out of the park. Very happy with everything that I did. The whole time I've been talking about this kit, I'm just have it in hand. I've just been spinning in the circle, just looking at every little detail, and I just cannot get enough. I can't stop looking at it. I love just looking at every little caution marking, all of the logos, all of the shading, all of the little paint apps that I've added on, everything. It's just all comes together so nicely, and I couldn't recommend it enough. I think everybody at this point knows that you can get a real grade new Gundam kit. Doesn't matter what you do to it, and it's gonna look great. I think that's a big factor. I have to admit, I think my own personal choices really added to it as well, and I just can't get enough of it. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I can't wait till we do this again. Until next time.